Here we are on this muggy Tuesday night, 84 degrees, but nice, quiet, still waters out on the Ohio River and traffic moving slowly and smoothly for the Louisville side of things across the bridge. Happy you're joining us, folks. I'm Jose Sosaya, live in the Wave Now studio for tonight's Wave News Extra update. I'm going to bring you in to the full studio just because when we do have some breaking news to share, you probably got this sent to your phones if you have the Wave News app downloaded, and I'm going to bring it up on our wave3.com access we've got live here, but just really quick, just so you see, we've got this up. We now know the name of the victim who was killed in a hit and run involving an e-bike out on the outer loop. And I'll scrub through here just so you can see the details, but I'll bring it up and show my face just so you can read. I'll let the details be what they are online and share them with you as I'm talking to the microphone. So this happened July 5th. Again, we now know the unfortunate, victim of the casualty. What happened here is a man named Gibi Sokine riding an e-bike on the outer loop when someone in a car hit him. They didn't stop. Sokine was thrown from his e-bike. They found him on the shoulder of the roadway. There was a second car apparently who hit the bike itself as it was on the road. But police are saying that driver who hit the bike, not Sokine, stopped to let police know what had happened. When paramedics arrived, they had pronounced Gibi Sokine dead there. And then Wednesday, July 8th, is when LMPD announced the man who they'd arrested as far as the specific charges. And it was a surveillance video allegedly capturing a man named Diego Garcia Orozco hitting Sokine on his bike, and then stayed still for about 30 seconds before backing up off the bike, driving away from the scene of the crime. So the charges there are manslaughter, failing to render aid, tampering with physical evidence. His bond pretty high at $100,000. So I just want to make sure you read that as I was going through some of the breaking news we've got. Here, we're going to get into our top stories as we start the live stream. I'm going to set this up for you as well because it was a pretty tense situation over the course of the hours that this was playing out. And mind you, in the story of former Governor Beven and the controversy involving his adopted son, Jonah, again today, the former governor was not physically there in the courtroom. The judge going as far as to kick Beven off of a Zoom call before the testimony started. The core argument here for this matter is if he, Matt Beven, and his ex-wife, Glenna Beven, are owing their son financial support. Our Kirsten Foote spent the whole day in court to see how this played out. What we're still waiting to find out is what the financial support ruling will be, but this was even undecided after 7 hours. Some of the witnesses who went up on the stand were Dawn Post. She's a lawyer who helped get Jonah out of Jamaica after the foster care facility he was in was shut down. Those who took the stand were Jonah Beven himself, his mother, Glenna Beven. So you've got testimony on either side. On the one hand, Jonah expressed resentment toward his parents. There were some emotional moments. And then Glenna, seen on camera, was shaking her head, looking to an attorney. When she took the stand, she said she never asked Matt Beven for child support because he had paid everything with the kids, for everything with the kids. She was also asked why she didn't go to Jamaica to retrieve Jonah Beven when this facility was closed. She said she did not have a passport. I want to play some of the sound here as I believe this was Jonah Beven's attorneys asking her part of the reasoning why she could not help a little bit more.
Did you go?
I did not have a passport. And my child had been abusing us, and I had 3 kids at home.
Did Matt have a passport?
I don't know. You'll have to ask him.
I can't ask him because he's not here, man.
That's not my fault.
Do you know where he is today?
No, I do not.
What was the last time you spoke with Matt Beven?
Not for a while.
Tell me what that means. Does that mean 20 minutes or
I don't remember.
6 months?
I don't remember.
So that was just one instance of that exchange. Jonah Beven's lawyer also asked Glenna Beven if it was fair to say that during this period in question for Jonah Beven's allegations that the Beven's other children had food, water, and shelter provided to them, but Jonah Beven did not. Glenna Beven on the stand said that would be a fair assessment. Yes. So the day ended with the lawyers asking for 21 days to write up a memo with all of their arguments. Judge Angela Johnson should have a decision by that point. We'll see what comes of it eventually. Also, this afternoon, Louisville Metro Police releasing the name and personnel files. So a little bit of a history background of an officer who shot at a suspected burglar over the weekend who had a gun with him. So in the end, police disclosing this was Lieutenant Brandon Hogan who's been involved. He's been with the department since 2008, currently assigned to the 4th Division. Police got a call about a break-in. This was downtown New 5th and York, midnight Sunday. They found 2 suspects who ran away. One guy they did stop, but the other kept running. And when LMPD found the second guy and that he had a gun and refused to drop it, Lieutenant Hogan, police say, fired several shots. One of them, at least one of them, hit the suspect who's in the hospital recovering. We don't know the suspect's name yet, but we do know Metro Police says there is recorded body camera video, and they'll release that in 10 business days after the shooting happened. What we also learned with Lieutenant Hogan was this was not his first time within the force that he's fired a shot and, at least enacted with what deadly force the firearm brings. So Hogan's personnel file with LMPD indicates he did shoot and kill a man who was holding his wife at knife point. This was back in 2018 at a place called Colonial Oaks Apartments. At the time, LMPD disclosing he was training with the SWAT units. He didn't have a body camera worn there, but he was cleared of wrongdoing in that case. The picture here is of a man at the center of a recent controversy involving Kentucky paroles in prison because he was convicted of the 2015 attack that killed 6-year-old Logan Tipton, but he is leaving custody tomorrow if nothing changes. Ronald Exantis' sentence ends Wednesday. The state could still try to keep him in custody through what would be an involuntary hospitalization. But again, there's some conditions to what could happen. The Woodford County Commonwealth's attorney, she went on record to tell our partners reporting out there that she can't comment on what her office is going to try to do. What she did say is these kinds of requests for the involuntary hospitalization usually are filed while someone is still in custody and time is running out. But based on the terms of what the sentence is, Exantis must be released by the Department of Corrections July 29th. There's no probation. There's no parole attached to his particular case. All right, a very busy first couple minutes to start off what we're working on in the first part of tonight's live stream, folks. But you recognize the videos of Congressman Thomas Massie. What's interesting is now there's a conversation you might talk about either a lot of our reporting having to do with data center pushback, some of it also from some members of the community pushing back on license plate reader cameras or flock cameras. Congressman Massie now says he wants to withhold federal funding from cities who use them. He says he's wanting to sponsor a bill that targets police departments and local governments that use automated license plate readers to, quote, surveil law-abiding citizens. Critics have been raising privacy concerns about what goes into a database once those pictures, images, the information is then processed. Police are saying the technology to them provides investigative leads. They don't use it to enforce speeding or red light violations. Of course, Kentucky recently having passed that 90-day rule to scrub someone's particular license plate information if it's not part of an active criminal investigation. But we will see where Congressman Massie's efforts play out while he's still in the House of Representatives. And speaking of business before Congress, there's still speculation about the current status of Senator Mitch McConnell's health, whether or not he's capable of still serving in his capacity as a public servant for Kentuckians in the U.S. Senate. Governor Andy Beshear on camera today when talking about a different matter. We'll touch on what he was out there on I-65 for, but reporters asking him about the letter he sent, and he is doubling down on a request for McConnell to be fully transparent about his current progress. What treatment does he need? How does he look? Our Fernando Garcia Ferencicini wanted to try to ascertain as much this afternoon. A reminder for the timeline, when we first kind of got a real first update was July 12th. This was already about a month, though, after Senator McConnell was hospitalized. He had his fall. That's when we did not when we learned that he at least did not break any bones, he had not had a concussion, and from that statement, what also was not necessarily made clear is if he had a heart attack or suffered a stroke. What they're not saying is necessarily the medical cause, maybe that preceded the fall. Was it the fall itself? Sort of other questions that are lingering. So again, reiterating, details are limited. We still have not heard from him, seen him talk to a camera directly. So this is Fernando's update, looking at where things stand in the timeline.
In a second update released on Monday, Senator Mitch McConnell said he's working hard to get back to his full schedule of work, keeping up with intense physical therapy per doctor's orders. In that same statement, the Office of the Attending Physician said physicians visit with the senator every day and that he's still not cleared to leave a rehab facility and return to work to the U.S. Senate. Despite some in the political sphere saying they've spoken to the Republican senator on the phone, McConnell's constituents haven't heard from him through audio or video since June, which led to a stern message from Democratic Governor Andy Beshear.
All I'm trying to do is ask the bare minimum. And it raises the concern that he might not be able to meet the bare minimum.
For Beshear, the minimum is proof that McConnell is capable of serving. So far, we've gotten 2 photos of McConnell and his wife, Elaine Chao, after the fall. But Beshear says that's not enough.
But if he can have a 17 minutes conversation with his protege, he can call into any of your news stations for 3.
The governor is also asking the U.S. Senate to look into McConnell's condition and, if needed, to begin the process of expelling him from the body.
Asking someone to prove that to their constituents isn't a big or a heavy lift. It's not being invasive. You're one of 2 U.S. senators that are supposed to represent Kentucky and Washington. Just talk to the people.
All right, thanks to Fernando for that report. And he did reach out to Senator McConnell's office again today. The hope was, even if it was over the phone, but if that was a phone call with audio actively of the senator talking, by our last check here, it's 8:17. We had not heard back about that particular proposition. And yes, Senator McConnell has not done any recorded video or audio interviews that would essentially give us more insight into how he's recovering since the fall. So something we'll continue to ask, to inquire, and let you all know what we're able to find out. We're going to take a break to share more, folks, as we've got other stories to share with you in our live stream. Updates to, of course, stories that we're waiting to see play out. One is, asking a court about liabilities as far as the UPS deadly plane crashes involved. Oldham County, a community remembering a former judge executive, current LaGrange mayor, and what he meant to a lot of people. And step up north to Wisconsin so you can see more of the damage that the tornadoes did bring. And they, did not leave that for us as they were coming down to Indiana and Kentucky, but just to see how folks are, going to have to clean up the mess that was left behind. We'll be right back with much more Wave News Extra live in the Wave Now studio. Thanks again for joining us, folks, wherever you might be on your smart devices or on your smart TV, joining us live on the Wave News Extra live stream here in the Wave Now studio. In this update, it's about a lawsuit that was filed after the deadly UPS plane crash, and it's a federal judge now saying that the case that was filed before them has to be sent back to Kentucky State Court. So the lawsuit initially was filed by the family of Trinidad Chavez. She was one of the 15 who perished. UPS tried to move this case to federal court, arguing the airline is based in Atlanta. But in this case, Judge David Hale disagreed. He found 6 of UPS's top airline officers, including their president, actually work out of Louisville, which would make Kentucky the company's legal home. We did reach out to UPS for comment following the judge's ruling. Again, this having to do with what the family of Trinidad Chavez had originally filed. And this is a partial statement here. We're quoting from a UPS spokesperson. We remain deeply saddened by Flight 2976. The focus continues to be on supporting those affected and working closely with the NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board, as the investigation continues. No direct comment on the suit itself. But the case will now be heard in Jefferson Circuit Court, something physically much closer to us. So the opportunities to have the reporting kind of be there on the ground and get that to you as it's playing out. Much easier to do, which, we want to be able to provide that as it's playing out for you all. In Oldham County, and for folks in LaGrange, of course, very much mourning losing their mayor, former judge executive John Black. We were told by current Oldham County Judge Executive David Vogel this was unexpected, that Black died at home from a apparent heart attack either last night, very recently, at 74 years old. Some folks who knew and worked with Black, including Dawn Wright from LaGrange Police, describe him as a longtime public servant, someone whose work in the community spanned decades and who had some ideas that perhaps were not as popular back then, but Dawn Wright talking about how John Black wanted to be forward-thinking on some ideas.
I think a legacy of leadership, a legacy of making difficult decisions. Some of the decisions that John made were not always well received within the community, but I certainly think that he had a servant mindset, thinking of the community even a forward-thinking way. And sometimes in the immediate, the decisions may not have made sense entirely, but yet he had a long-term view, a long-range view in mind.
If we do learn of any public details that are shared for Black's funerals or memorials, we'll make sure to share them with you once they're released. One statement, of course, commenting on memorializing what Black meant to folks was Kentucky Attorney General Russell Coleman, just as an example, saying he was sad to hear about Black's passing. Writing in part on social media that Black, quote, had a real fire in the belly to serve and that he enjoyed every time Coleman and Black, met at the downtown coffee shop. There are more statements honoring John Black you can read on wave3.com. This next bit is going to take us up to Wisconsin, and a credit to our partners WBAY in Green Bay. This is where they would be because it's where we saw the worst tornado touchdown. Obviously, the storm tracking team working all the hours they did, live streaming from inside here, the Wave Now studio, to let you know what was coming, what was actively going on through places we were making phone calls to see how the damage looked, if folks were okay. And Indiana counties, we're talking Jackson, Jennings, Scott, Jefferson County, Indiana, how things sort of trickled into Oldham and Henry counties and what all played out there. But we'll begin, excuse me, with some perspectives of 2 communities in Wisconsin. And we'll start where it's called Appleton and the Fox Cities. The tornado and the storms shredding roofs, heavily damaging an electric building that is pretty popular, very used up there. This is from, I believe his name is Jason Zimmerman from our partners in Green Bay. And so we'll play what Jason Zimmerman has to say here. Let's see if I can start it up. We'll start this way.
Across Appleton, you can hear the constant sound of chainsaws and even generators as people everywhere work to clean up storm debris with the power shut off. Jennifer Ritterbush was outside when it turned dark and the wind picked up.
I told myself, I got to go.
Yeah.
I got to go now because this isn't good. And I went running to my side door and I could barely get to the door to get it open. The wind was blowing so bad I could hear the trees snapping as soon as I shut the door.
On South Driscoll Street, trees were knocked down and power lines were left dangling. In the backyard of one house, a shed was blown to bits. The owner tells me he's just happy he wasn't hurt.
When I got in the basement, the wind had picked up, and all of a sudden, it was like all the oxygen was sucked out of the house. And then as soon as the tornado went over the house, it slammed back together, and you could actually feel it on your eardrums. That was amazing. And I was kneeling on the concrete floor in the basement.
Just down the street, a building on South Perkins Street owned by Miller Electric had the roof blown off while one of the walls partially collapsed. It's not clear whether anyone inside was injured, but we spoke to a man who was across the street as it happened.
The power went out, and then I looked out the window here, and then I just saw the building get flopped over, and then it just swirling around with debris, and then up in there it went, and then it was gone just like that.
Another man spotting the damage while helping his daughter, who was trapped in her apartment because of the storm debris.
That's shocking. That is very shocking. I was not expecting to see that. I had been watching the storm damage on Facebook, and I had seen this building on Facebook, but I didn't realize it was right behind her building. She had contacted me during the storm to tell me that I think the tornado is going right over our house, and it literally is.
Must have been mortifying for these folks. Glad that he was okay, and our thanks to one partner there, Jason Zimmerman in Green Bay. So switching from folks, obviously the specific damage and recovery in Appleton, there's more destruction to show in places like Menasha. And even through all of that, there was, neighbors giving of themselves to neighbors, showing kindness. A local food truck wanted to make sure nobody went hungry while they were taking their trash bags and shovels and everything they could drag with them in their carts, and at least so they'd be fed and hydrated over the entire time. This is Ashley Robinson's report from up in Menasha.
Since early this afternoon, the El Agave food truck has been set up on 9th Street in Menasha, handing out free meals to anyone in need. This comes as the governor has declared a state of emergency. And Menasha is among 3 Fox Valley communities under a boil water order.
It means a lot. I mean, to have free food, to come out and take care of the people here.
And he isn't alone in feeling this way.
Having something like that parked in the neighborhood, not having to worry about it, it's really nice and really reassuring that in a time like this, communities can come together.
Thank you very much.
The outpouring of support has been felt across the neighborhood. And El Agave representatives say seeing that reaction makes it all worth it.
I feel like if you put yourself in their shoes, you would want someone to do it for you.
Certainly sounds like the golden rule, and hopefully those folks, won't take them too long. That sooner rather than later they can get back to normal, happy, healthy lives that they were having, and that everybody can give each other a little grace up there. Thankfully, now nowhere near as severe for us, and the indication, of course, as the temperature kind of trickling down, it'll be nice tonight. Kevin Harnett, of course, letting us know Wednesday is the pick of the week. We'll touch on what's in store for folks down by the waterfront. And coming up, by the way, as you're sort of seeing traffic come through there for 64, it's kind of had to be the option if you wanted to make your way through some of the surface roads downtown. We're going to touch on how in a matter of hours, folks, access to a pretty crucial part of 65 is coming back, but with some conditions and caveats. We'll be right back with more Wave News Extra live in the Wave Now studio. As we show you another live look from our downtown SkyTrack camera folks live on Wave News Extra here in the Wave Now studio. Good to know that traffic around this time of night, 8:31, smooth while the sun is still out before it sets. Hopefully we're talking not as harsh of an adjustment for folks who for the past almost 2 months had to maneuver and find a detour around the 65 summer shutdown. But there is good news on that front. Let's take a listen.
It is great to be in Louisville today, especially as we celebrate the reopening of I-65 ahead of schedule.
Keyword there, a phrase actually ahead of schedule. Tomorrow's drive into work. Welcome news for thousands of folks because 65 from the Waterfront through downtown going to reopen tonight around midnight. The full closure more than 3 days early. Workers apparently have done enough construction for traffic to flow again in both directions. Our Mark Stevens wanted to check in on the final few hours of empty road. As Mark describes it, you can see from the drone camera here, nothing except front loaders and maybe some pile drivers, all the kind of heavy machinery you need. Maybe it's a post-apocalyptic view for some folks over the last 2 months. But 2 lanes in each direction, new paint, barrier walls, while the project now moves on to the next phase. And in that front, what I was hoping to show, oh, I just had a little thing extra early. So here is Mark's update for his report.
Away from having traffic flowing again.
Governor Andy Beshear congratulates the state staff, construction contractors, and laborers who got the I-65 summer shutdown done 3 days early.
Always, the idea was if you were going to do a full closure, you got to deliver for people. You got to have real urgency. If the people of Louisville are going to sacrifice, then you better work your tail off and as hard as you can do to get there.
Workers have set 70 beams, hundreds of precast panels, and removed enough old concrete to cover a football field 2 feet deep.
While we had the shutdown, they did tremendous amount of work on the closed interstate, which of course, if we had to do that at any other time, would disrupt traffic.
The work is far from over. More steel girders are waiting to be installed. The team has to replace 6 more bridges, work which originally called for another full shutdown next summer. But the governor promised not again.
Well, I can tell you as long as I'm governor, I-65 will not be fully shut down again.
Drivers will still encounter a construction zone. The speed limit will be lowered to 40, slower over some lane switches. Some exits will remain closed for now while work continues. Project spokespeople continue to urge drivers to use their mapping apps and for heavy trucks to take the 264 detour if possible. Beshear even tipped his hat to all of Louisville's residents.
The way that they changed their patterns made this project a reality. They contributed to their state in such a special way.
And yeah, worth noting, no major traffic accidents or tragedies for people who just could not maybe necessarily avoid. They could take that Jefferson Street exit if they noticed coming off from 64 to 65 was never an issue that way. Obviously a huge inconvenience for some, but now the 2 lanes open each direction, allowing for some traffic to flow again once the project is all done. The leaders involved at KYTC say the 9 new bridges are supposed to last another 75 years. Not known yet, though, how long the construction is going to continue, because you heard the governor talk about no shutdown next summer. So what does the timeline look like? Something we'll keep an eye out for sure for you on your behalf. Speaking of which, for any MSD customers out there, there is an increase in rates coming. It's a 3.9% increase starting September 1st. So the average bill for folks in their homes, residents, is expected to go up $3.23 a month. Overall, supposed to go to less than $40 a year there. MSD, it manages wastewater, stormwater drainage, flood protection, and they say the increase, they need to do this to cover their aging infrastructure and then the increased costs for construction for the projects they have on their mind.
We have critical infrastructure that we must address all over Jefferson County. And we do that to make sure that we are minimizing risk. We don't want a catastrophic failure in a critical asset so that you have major flooding, or you have issues where you're damaging a community or damaging the environment.
And as for rates in Oldham County, they are also going up, just not by as much. Those wastewater bills would increase an average of $1.59 per month. So again, we talk about for Jefferson County folks, the increase per month, $3.23. And then overall, just an added then for $40, give or take on average for the month there. All right, with the weather looking as nice as it's promising tomorrow, which is excellent news, folks can enjoy live music again in Waterfront Park. Didn't want to mute that. So it is the return of Waterfront Wednesday. It's for the band called Over the Rhine, Nicholasville singer Abby Hamilton. Both artists are scheduled to perform out on the Big Four lawn, which opens at 5 p.m. Folks can park, of course, along River Road if you find the spot. But it is first come, first serve sometimes. So just figuring out how close you can get. And if it involves a walk to get to the lawn and Waterfront Park, as long as the weather is cooperating. Reminder, this is a free concert series. WFPK hosts the last Wednesday of each month, and they try to do this from April through September. You can find the full concert lineup for maybe checking out a band you really wanted to listen to what's left in the concert lineup on Waterfront Park's website. Let's see if there's a good sound for this video I wanted to show you guys. And there may not be. This is, maybe you love baseball, maybe it's not your favorite sport, but when animals have their shenanigans out on the field of play, it's always a lot of fun. No giant tigers that come to life. It was the little squirrel who wanted in on the baseball action. This is an Orioles-Tigers game. He dashed across Comerica Field. There was a little bit of a confrontation with the pigeon there. Full inning goes by. No one can catch it. But this is during the 7th inning stretch when the entire grounds crew comes in, rushing onto the field, trying to corral him. You see one towel throw. They thought they got him. Second towel throw. They thought they could get him. And we're going to replay that eventually just so you see how very squirrely things can get. If anyone's tried to catch a squirrel, you understand full well. But he's faking the guys out. The towel attempts just don't work. Eventually, one worker did catch the squirrel, and the chase appeared to be the highlight of the game, not just for the fans who were probably asked about it on camera, but some of the players thought it was quite a show, and they got quite a hoot out of all of that. Our last story tonight, folks, is part of our consumer, consumer knowledge and just understanding the best deals to make your financial life work. That's how a very long way of putting it together. A consumer series. A new survey found 46% of Americans who answered this, they said they would go into debt if it meant they could keep their beauty routines and what they needed to keep doing to feel confident, moisturized, looking their best. For many, that's a trade-off between cutting back at grocery stores for buying the food you want stocked up. What do you then do to hold on to the self-care, the self-pampering? In today's Watching Your Wallet, Rachel DePompa wanted to dig a little deeper into what the survey data had to say.
Zenoti, a beauty and wellness software company, surveyed 1,000 adults about their beauty spending. The survey found 22% of those asked are cutting back on groceries to afford their beauty spending. 33% said workplace stress and burnout is pushing them to increase their wellness routines. Sarah Simonelli is with Zenoti. She says people aren't giving up their beauty regimens, but they are being more thoughtful about how much they're spending.
They're not willing to sacrifice because that means sacrificing their own wellness, their self-esteem, how they look and feel about themselves as they're going throughout their daily lives. And the value and importance of that is significant, especially, the beauty business has been around for decades, if not centuries.
Simonelli says they are seeing people space out their visits more to save money. They're also seeing an increase in buy now, pay later to cover services, and more people are signing up for memberships looking for better value.
32% we're seeing are actually trading down to a more comfortable price point where maybe years in the past they were investing or indulging into high luxury services. Now they're thinking a little bit more practical so that it's tangible and impactful, but not overstretching their beauty spend.
The survey also shows DIY beauty is mainstream. 44% said they're doing at-home facials. 43% said they color their own hair at home, and 33% were opting for at-home waxing instead of professional services. With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
It's always something you can circle back if you wanted to ever read more in the Watching Your Wallet series. We have tabs, so you can find that on wave3.com. It's very much in the zone of things that, like you see the tab up here, and I'll put the mouse if we can. No, it does not work on the other one on your screens, but you see the Your Money, you see What's Good, you see Great Gods. It's kind of our subsections and series, but you can find everything, folks. I always describe this as the one-stop shop. Our local late-breaking news sometimes, our latest videos, all the other kinds of stories and top headlines we not only upload here, we send that to your phones when you sign up for those alerts on the Wave News app and the Wave Weather app. Great tools to have. Hope you join us tomorrow night, same time, same place, 8:05 right here in the Wave Now studio. And for those of you wanting to join in the live newscast we've got coming up at 11, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harned going to explain just how much longer we get to enjoy our time outdoors as Wednesday starts. Looking forward to the rest of the week. And more reporting from our Julie Richardson as we continue to follow the stories out there that matter to you, that we want to stay on top of and share what it is we find out, what's going on. Appreciate your time as always, folks. I'm Jose Sosaya. We have, you can always find us for Wave Now on your apps, on your smart TVs, for the live streams and a la carte viewing for all of our original series. Newscast reports, you can find that on the app, and connecting with us, especially in real time, wherever you might be, folks, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and X. We want to be here for you as another way to sort of debrief and let you know about some of the stories that might pique your interest. Take it easy, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow night at 8:05.